For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Dr. Stephen Moore. I live in Jupiter, Florida, and it was almost 20 years ago that I graduated from chiropractic school. I went to school to be a doctor. I thought being a doctor was going to be the way that I wanted to provide for my family. And I got introduced to NuSkin really when I was studying for boards. I was broke. I had just graduated. I was just looking to do something on the side that wouldn't interfere with my studies. And I was looking for a business that I could run from home on my own time. And I got introduced to NuSkin. Since then, I've been married to my wife for going on 15 years. We've got 3 amazing children, and we've been able to do this business full time. It started off as a part-time thing, and the lifestyle and the quality time that we have because of the price that we paid in the beginning is something that has been so worthwhile. And I don't know where you guys are tonight, in your life. For me, I was looking to make a couple $1,000s a month to pay for my rent and so forth. Maybe you guys are here because of what's happening in the economy. Maybe you're looking at the future and you're concerned. And for the first time in 40 years, we are dealing with a huge problem with high inflation and a recession. It's expected to get very bad later on this year. But not with NuSkin. Our business is booming. It's growing. More and more people are looking for something that they can do to really be the captain of their ship for the future. We're going to talk a little bit about the opportunity tonight. And before we do that, it's so important to really consider what life is going to look like for you in the future and why it's important to really look at some other streams of income. More and more people are looking for other ways to diversify their income, to do something on the side. Working for a corporate America for 40 years and sitting in a cubicle and getting a golden parachute, those days aren't really there anymore for many people. And when you look at people at 65 and older, this was from the Hartford Insurance Study, 54% of the people are dead broke and 36% of the people don't even make it to 65. And so we have a lot of problems in America here as well as around the world where people are having issues with their health and having issues with their finances. And here we are in America, one of the most prosperous nations, and we only have about 1% of Americans that are wealthy. And so if you're going to emulate people, right, at 65, where do you want to be? And if we look and we analyze what the wealthy people did, well, yeah, we had athletes, entertainers, and super salespeople, CEOs, and top professionals. And I didn't have a shot at any of those 4 things. But if you look at the great majority of people that became wealthy, they did it by having their own business. Now, I thought I was going to be a doctor and have my own business to do that. But as I started to learn more about this business model and this company, that vision expanded and I saw how this could be a better future for myself, for my family, and you guys might see that for yourself here tonight. But if we're going to look at a business, there's a few different businesses we can go with. You can start a small business, right? But you have a high failure rate. Only 5% of small businesses succeed because they've got no system. The other option is you can do a franchise. There's tons of franchises out there that are available. But what happens with franchises is you have a very high success rate because they have a system. They've figured everything out. The problem is there's a huge barrier to entry. It's very expensive to start a franchise. And if you want to have a second location or a third location, you've got to plop down another lump sum of money, deal with more employees, more real estate, more problems. And so what we're going to show you here tonight is really a business that allows you, in my opinion, can allow you. Now, you've got to work hard at it, but it's a vehicle that can allow you to have leverage and allow you to have lifestyle if you focus. Yes, there are a lot of ways to make money in the economy. There's lots of businesses. Being a doctor for me was one of them. But if you look at the different lifestyles that people have, most people go and acquire skills. For me, it was 27 years, right? $250,000 in my education to go become the first doctor in my family. Then you go work for 40 years, you grind it out, you miss the birthdays, you miss times with your kids, you're traveling, you're doing all these things, missing those precious moments. So at the end of life, you can enjoy life at 65, 67, 70, maybe not at all for a lot of people, right? And then it's over. And I thought that was just how everybody lived until I started to see this. And I started to understand leverage. Now, I didn't think I could have leverage till I was older, till I saved up a bunch of money and invested. But I saw that having a business like this, that subscription base, allows you to work hard for a period of time, work smart, and enjoy life. And that's where I am right now. I'm 46 years old. I worked hard for a period of time, work smart. I'm working hard again right now because of the window that we're in. But along the way, I've been able to enjoy life much more than I would have had I chosen to go into practice, where I'd be waking up before my kids wake up, coming home after they go to bed, and missing a lot of those special moments. This business has allowed me a lot of freedom and flexibility, and we're seeing that from around the world. And so what it allows us to do is, if you're looking at a business, having a business with inexpensive startup with little to no risk, having a business with a turnkey system, which we're going to show you here tonight, having things that are competitive that you can't get elsewhere, and having a business that passes these 5 key points. Now, whether you're looking at our business or any other business out there, you'll find that you need businesses. Businesses that are successful are in front of market trends. They've got patented products that are usually consumable and patented technology. They've got a great company with integrity and financial resources and leadership behind them. They've got compensation that can make you some money on the side, like how I started. But as I got involved, that vision expanded. And one of the presentations that I listened to was Jeff Mack. He doesn't know I listened to it because it was a CD-ROM that I listened to, something called Sleepless Nights, and expanded my vision at 27 years old, thinking that I'm worth this much. And he says, if you're in the right timing and you can get in front of something that's going to launch, that's going to change the world, you can do some really significant things. And we are in the most exciting window that I've seen in 20 years with this business, with this transition into artificial intelligence and biometric data, and how that is changing the health and wellness industry, and how our company is positioned better than any other company. And so I'm going to turn the next 20 minutes or so over to my good friend, Jeff Mack, who's joining us from Utah. Jeff has made a lot of money with the company. I'm not allowed to say how much. Circle of Excellence is what we call it. I think it's a Circle of Excellence 4 now. But he's done extremely well, and he's led people all over the world that are changing their lives. We don't have a financial arrangement together, but we have a friendship and respect for one another. And in fact, I was just talking to him tonight. And so, Jeff, so great to have you here tonight. I'm going to turn the next 20 minutes over to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good job. Great outline and introduction. Let me just kind of jump right into this, because I want to give it to you hard and fast, because we want to keep this in a condensed time frame or format. But, like Stephen, I looked at this business 35 years ago. I had a friend introduce me. And at that point in time, this was during the 80s. Now, I don't know, that dates me. I'm 65 years old, right? In the 80s, it was the Great Recession, they called it. It was the worst time since the Great Depression of the 30s. And I remember distinctly, I was involved in some real estate stuff with a guy named Nathan Ricks. And Craig Tillotson, who's one of the founding distributors of this company, had approached us. Now, he's Nathan Ricks's brother-in-law and a friend of mine. And he approached us and talked to us about NuSkin. And I remember at that time, our reaction was, we're not going to do NuSkin. I mean, in our mindset, it was a little bit more of a women's opportunity. At that point in time, they were doing a lot of non-surgical facelifts where they'd lay people on the ground and they'd paint half their face with this solution, and it would firm and tighten. And the other side, after they washed it off, would look all droopy and saggy. And the pitch then was, hey, you need to sign up to get the product to fix your other side of your face. And hey, people were excited about it. You could see the visceral response, but we're not going to do NuSkin. That's not our deal. And Craig kind of cut us off at the knees, and he says, you guys don't understand. He said, I'm not here to have you guys do that. You guys are promoters. You guys are visionaries. Now is the time to come in and talk about the growth we're experiencing and where it's going to head. So you got to sell that vision and paint that picture. And so we're like, all right, well, what do we do? It's dark outside. And all of a sudden the lights came on. If it's dark outside, sell light. If there is no vision, sell vision. And so we simply started to tell people, we know times have been tough for you. We know it's been difficult to scratch out a living. But what if you came with us and joined us and helped us build this company? And you did it for the next 2 years. What could your life look like? And it was interesting because people started to come and come and come. We cut the entrepreneurial heart out of the marketplace. Why? Because we were selling what they were looking for. People were looking for hope and vision, and we showed it to them. Okay. And we went from 40 million in sales when Nathan and I and others came into the business, went from 40 million to over 500 million in sales in less than 20 months. Now, how does that happen? It happens because you're selling an opportunity of what's going to take place. And that taught me a lot. What it taught me is you need to move before the masses. You need to be part of the one that's banging the drum, that's out there with the torch saying, follow me. And that's what we did. And I worked hard for 2 years, came up for air, looked around. I had guys in the business way better than me. Why? Because the opportunity spoke to them. Well, as time went on, the company expanded around the world. And I remember we went into Japan. And it was interesting because our first year in Japan, we sold more product than Coca-Cola did their first year. I mean, I'm talking about huge successes, right? And so this kind of built upon itself. And one in particular, I'll tell you, because it's going to tie in with right now, where we're sitting right now, okay? I remember when they leaked that they were going to go into the country of Thailand about 9 months before they were going to do it. And look, I'm not Thai. I've never been there. I don't speak the language, but I read up on it. I thought this looks like a good market. So myself and 4 friends, so 5 of us, I said, let's go after Thailand. It's like, well, what do we do? I'm like, I don't know. Go to a Thai restaurant, grab a Thai, waiter and start talking to him. We're going into Thailand. Well, what's the story? Well, the story is we've had success everywhere we've gone. We're open in Thailand. Those that take advantage of the positioning before it opens will do very well. We hope that's you. And that was the pitch. And we said it over and over and over and over again. We'll roll the clock ahead for 9 months. Because what had happened is, right here in Utah, where I live, it kind of leapfrogged from here to LA. Then LA, a lot of Thais in LA started calling their friends over in Thailand, in the homeland, right? Well, roll the clock ahead 9 months. 9 months of telling that story over and over and over again. Now think about this for a minute. We weren't looking for everybody. We were looking for the innovators and the early adopters. If you look at the population base, the first initial 15%, they don't need all the lights, green. They don't need all the I's dotted and T's crossed. You can show them a concept and a vision, and they'll wrap their arms around that because those are the visionaries of the world. And so we'd have some people say, well, I need to have the product for a while, or I'll wait till the market opens first and all this. And that's fine. You fit into the other 85%. They're probably going to wait, the masses. You'll come later. We're looking for those 15%ers, and we found them. Well, the first day we could do business in Thailand, I had to make an executive decision. I rented the largest hotel in Bangkok, Thailand, the Emerald Hotel. It seated 2,500 people in its ballroom. And the idea here was, let's do a morning session and an afternoon session to train these guys. And in our mind, hey, maybe we'll fill it up, right? Morning session, 2,500 people filed in, and we trained them. Afternoon session, 2,500 new people filed in. The first day, 5 of us trained 5,000 people in the Emerald Hotel in Bangkok, Thailand. Now you think that's impressive? Go 3 weeks into the future to month end. Okay, so first full month, which is actually a little over 3 weeks, that 5,000 turned into 30,000 distributors. Now, what happens when 30,000 distributors order product? Bam, it's an explosion. Now, from an outsider looking in, here's the comments I heard. Oh, you guys cheated. Oh, you guys must have had an unfair advantage. Oh, you guys did something wrong. I mean, because how could you have 30,000 distributors the first month? Well, it was none of that. What it was the fact that we had vision, was the fact that we took action before the masses, just like anything else, okay? Here's the thing. If you've been looking to be in the right place at the right time, you want to move before the masses do. First mover advantage. Because if you're able to do that, if you got a story that resonates, it is that strong, as that wave then hits the market, it blows up the previous effort that you put into the opportunity. So what did I learn from the Thailand experience? Move before the masses do. Well, let's kind of roll ahead to where we sit right now. I don't think there's anyone on this phone call that could have predicted the last 3 or 4 years that the world has gone through. If I came to you guys 5 years ago and told you I'm going to write this novel, and this novel's going to go like this. There's this virus that's released into the atmosphere. It kills some people. It makes many sick. And governments are going to react real aggressively to the point where some of them are going to lock people in their homes. They're going to deem one business to be of value, another one not, and shut them down, where generations of families that have built businesses just go to nothing. And you're going to see people sequestered in their homes where they're afraid to touch each other or hug each other or be around each other. And to make matters worse, there's going to be a 2 to 3 year of a global recession that follows that'll steal the souls of everybody in the world. If that was my brainchild, you'd think I was sick, some kind of twisted Stephen King novel. But it's not a novel. It's not a fabricated story. That's what happened, and that's what we're in right now. And you look at that and you say, okay, I realize as I say that there's people on this call whose lives has been touched negatively by what happened. Mine, one of them, my own mother was hospitalized with it. I get it. We're business people here. What does this mean? As bad as that's been, what I want you to understand is there's a lot of lessons that were learned and a lot of things that have transpired since. What we had happen during that time, where you couldn't really see many people or hug them or be in the same room, okay? And so all of a sudden, we had these real creative women in our organizations that started to market lower end items, okay, with posts online and Zoom calls just like this, right? And so people would warm up to those products and buy them and enjoy them. And all of a sudden they wanted to be part of the mix and they got involved, started to build the business. And long story short, we grew through a period of time when most companies were diving. Okay, now this is interesting because it's transformed our industry. Right now, as I speak to you, there's 10 companies that were 500 million to $1 billion companies that are now circling the drain. They're out of cash. In fact, there's some staples of our industry that are teetering right now. We are now the most financially solvent network marketing company in the world today. And you look at that because we grew during the COVID experience. Now, this company didn't sit back. And those of you that are leaders watching this call, because I've seen the names that have popped there. There's people watching this call from all over the world. You guys have striking power. You guys are leaders of leaders. And you're saying, why am I hearing the details from Jeff on a leak through this Zoom? Why hasn't the company made an announcement? Well, here's why. About 3 years ago, I've got a lot of good relationships around the world with other leaders. They know I'm local here in Utah. They're saying, Jeff, can you go in there and talk to the company? Yeah, social selling's working for a lot of people that have figured that out, but the majority of the leadership's trying to figure out what the new story's going to be. I went in and lo and behold, Craig Bryson's in there talking to him. He's the founding distributor for NuSkin. I said, why don't we team up? Why don't we join forces? And we did. So I was invited into a couple of meetings. As we got there with the corporate leaders, we sit down and if you know Craig Bryson, he's a little bit, he reminds me a lot of Elon Musk. He's a little different. He thinks on a different plane. And what's going on there is most of us are playing chess, okay, or checkers. Craig's playing three-dimensional checkers. In other words, his mind's at a whole nother octave, right? It's thinking in a whole nother realm. He's several steps ahead of most. As he starts to describe some things to the company, he starts talking about the power of artificial intelligence and what that could mean in the future. He started talking about how information will become the new currency. He started to talk about how, we need to transform the entire network marketing industry because it's become very bland. It's become very, almost comatose in a way, and in many ways outdated for where we're headed, and how this shift from the economy we now exist in, okay, as we went from the, horse and buggy days to the Industrial Revolution, which provided the life we have today, as we go from that economy and it shifts to a digital AI-driven economy, that shift is a $15 trillion shift. Now, that number is low, okay? But if to just say that number was accurate, that shift is larger than the shift of the Industrial Revolution. So what does that mean? That means you're not going to see anything like this, okay, in our lifetime again. How can we? Okay, it's happening. All you do is open your eyes and you start to see what's taking place right now. And so as I started to listen to that story, Ryan Napierski says, we're already doing some of this stuff, Craig. We've taken our computing to the cloud. We got a global seamless marketing plan that no one else has. And we're positioning ourselves to lead into the next revolution of this AI capability driven operation. And so that's exactly what started to happen. And Steve Hatchett's over there, and some of you know Steve, he's jotting it down. This guy's a product wizard, and he's thinking this whole thing through, and he's listening, and he's writing, and he's contemplating. Well, as time went on, they got a little more closed-lipped, right? They're a publicly traded company. We're distributors, so they don't want to tell us everything because they know we'll go blab it. Well, here about 6 months or so ago, they made an announcement. They're investing $500 million into tech upgrade and AI capability. Okay, they told that to the street. I'm thinking, I think they're doing this. Then a couple of months ago, I was invited to come back in, and they wanted to sit down with me. Craig had just got there before me, and they handed me this little box, this little DNA collection kit. And immediately the connection in my brain happened. We're doing this. We're doing this, right? And they're like, well, I said, how long have you had the capability to collect DNA? He says, we've had that for 3 years, Jeff. And I'm like, 3 years? You've had this for 3 years, this capability, and you didn't tell us? And Steve's like, hold on, Jeff. It's not about AI. It's not about the DNA. Okay, that's been out there for a while with 23andMe and, Ancestry. They've proven the efficacy of it. It's legitimate. But it's more about the AI capability. It's about the algorithms. It's about what that means and where we take it from there. It's about creating a business, okay, that has no boundaries, that works on a 24-hour clock. When the AI brain takes over, it'll do a lot of the work that a lot of us have been doing in this business for years. And I'm thinking, okay, then you need to leak this. You got to leak it. And they're like, no, we can't leak this. We're not ready yet. It takes time to do the algorithms. It takes time to navigate all of the privacy issues and all that stuff. And I'm like, you guys got to leak it. You know why you got to leak it? Because we're post-COVID. We're going into a recession, not just in the States, but around the world. For the first time in the history of our lifetime, we're going to see a decline in the economy on a global scale like we've never seen. And what I do know, we're a counterintuitive business. And what that means is there's going to be a whole lot of other people looking for opportunity that didn't even know who we were 3 or 4 years ago. We've got to leak it. They're like, all right, you guys are now under non-disclosure. You can't talk about this, and this, and you can't buy stock any longer because you're considered an insider. Fine. We'll leak what we can, and that's what we've been doing here. Well, I can just tell you, I did a couple of calls before Christmas, a week before Christmas, blown out. I remember one I did with Tracy Palo. She was going to have her people and my people on the call. We figured 50 to 100 people would be on that call. She calls me 2 days after we made the announcement and says, I don't think we're going to have enough room. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got 1,000 lines. Of course, you'll have enough room. Okay, so I kind of blew it off. Well, a couple of days later, I go to get in the call, and I barely get in. There's 1,000 lines that fill up like that with 500 in queue. Okay, I'm thinking, what is going on here? Well, just with the leak of this story and where we're headed, a story no one's ever heard before, okay, because no one's got the capability to do this or invested the money to do it, people start to jump on. Okay, well, here we sit today. And you say, what's actually going on here? Well, I'm telling you, they've pretty much got the algorithms done. They're working on the legalities and all that stuff right now. And we're moving down the pike very quickly, but we're told maybe 12 months, 18 months. Okay, so I look at it. I don't care when they do it. You know why I don't? Because we're in the pre-market window. We're in a ground floor window. I know what that means. I've done that when I started my career here. I've done that as a position for other countries as we've opened it. I'm here to tell you, you've never seen a ground floor window like this. Now, our industry is notorious for talking about ground floor. That's usually a startup company. They're brand new. Hey, come with us. You can be the next NuSkin. You can be the first in. You can make all this money. And 99% of them go out of business. You don't want startup. You want ground floor. You got the gold standard of the industry that's investing money in front of a $15 trillion shift as we go into an AI-driven economy, and the world's about to change. In fact, it already is. Some of you know what ChatGPT is. Okay, basically that's Google with an AI brain that interacts with you and not only can answer a question, but it can give you a directive. It can create anything you want it to create. Give me a business model as such, and it'll spit it out in 3 to 5 seconds. The world has changed. Okay, and you're going to see what's happened right now is what's going to happen to Google. ChatGPT is going to dismantle it. We're going to do the same thing to the network marketing industry. You know why? Because now's the time. Now is the time. I remember 3 years ago when we started this, as we were sitting around that table, Ryan Napierski said, here's my prediction: within 5 years, if companies don't get AI capable and get part of this and make that transition, they'll be out of business. And true to form, 3 years into it, 10 companies that have been in the industry at $500 million to $1 billion are circling the drain. And here we sit. Some of those companies have asked us to buy them. We're not buying them. We're in position to close it out. Here's what I want you guys to understand. Here's where we sit right now. So what is the strategy? Well, let's say that Steven's a friend of mine, and I tell him, hey, look, you need to see what's going on here. You're going to hear a lot about AI. You're starting to hear about it. It's going to change everything. It's going to change everything. And we're positioned with a $500 million investment, which will probably even go higher to maybe $700 million as we position in front of this, and you want to find out about it. I don't know if it's a good fit for you, but you need to see what's going on. So he jumps on a call like this, right? Send him a videotape of a call like this. He looks at it. And he says, man, this looks pretty good. And so he comes on board. And the goal here would be to build Steven in the business, to try to get him as far into the compensation plan as he can, just like I did with people for Thailand, right? Get him as big as he can. By the time we turn this on in 12 to 18 months, whatever we've built in that time frame, in this pre-market ground floor window, as the wave kicks in, is going to expand it and blow it out. Okay, that's what's going to happen. So let's say we do that with Steven. And let's say that we together, in 18 months from now, we recruit Dan. And we say, hey, Dan, you're hearing all about AI and what's going on. It's unbelievable what's happening. Now, the business will look a little different then. It'll be more streamlined. Okay, so it'll be a quick call, push of a button. We'll send him a video. He'll take a look at it and say, my gosh, this looks pretty good. I think I want to do it. We'll send him a link so he can download the Vera app. Okay, we have that app right now. It'll look a lot different in 12 to 18 months. And that Vera app is the portal to the company. As he follows the prompts, it leads him to purchase the assessment, the DNA assessment, where we can assess everything about his genome, his genetic makeup, from his cognitive to his health profile. And here's what happens. It creates this digital twin. If you can imagine a 360-degree digital twin of Dan. And this is the perfect Dan based off of his genetic makeup. And so it's created that digital twin. And here sits Dan today. Okay, because maybe he hasn't made the best decisions for his health. Maybe he hasn't been the best he can be. And so as this digital twin, the model of what he should be, sits here, then AI kicks in. Not Steven, not me. AI kicks in and starts to tell Dan, you have some deficits here, 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 and here. And here's products we recommend to fill those voids so you can match your digital twin. See, here's what happens. The AI brain, with all of its double-blind placebo studies and its deep roots in science and all the things that NuSkin is, takes over and starts to do the selling that we needed to do right, prior to this brain becoming part of our business. And it's creating this entity. And all of a sudden it's dealing with Dan, and it starts to get smarter and smarter as we get more and more information about him. And it knows everything about his health and everything about his genetics. And now all of a sudden we've got this bond with him to where we've made him better. So we maybe have subsequent assessments where we can see the improvement, and we've got our customer locked in. Now, here's the thing we do know. All around the world, the economies are shrinking around the world because the population base is shrinking. So what that tells you is this: for every consumer you have, you better figure a way to get more dollars out of their pocket than what you're currently getting, right? And so if I was to say to you 5, maybe 10 years ago that e-commerce is going to be something big, you may or may not have believed me. But here we sit today, and Amazon controls the world. They do. Walk through any mall and you look around and you say, what happened here? Well, there's a reason that Bezos is one of the richest guys in the world. Retail selling has shifted to the internet, and the COVID experience kind of elevated that and locked it in. So you look at that and you say, oh my gosh, people have acclimated to this. What if I told you in this pre-positioning window, as we laid the foundation and these assessments flood the market, anything you build between now and then 10 times itself as the flood comes into the market, And then all of a sudden, as the AI starts to understand more and more about our consumers, we have 6,000 consumer goods with brand name companies, lockdown already in place, all right? To where instead of you going down to the brick and mortar or you going to Amazon and buying everything, clothing to you name it, what if you could click through your own business and buy it and get commissioned on every purchase? So now you've created a mini Amazon business on the back end of this. Think about the revenue stream here, guys, because what I've just described to you is a 24-hour-a-day money-making transaction machine. It doesn't know any time frames. It doesn't care if the sun is up or down. It doesn't care what country you live in. Doesn't care what language you speak. Doesn't care who you are. All it knows is the world is knitted together, and that AI brain knows all the spending and buying habits of everyone in that system as it can upsell and sell and expand what it's doing. And what are you and I doing? We're the bird dogs. We're going out there and introducing it to people and feeding them into the system. And the AI machine takes over and starts to sell it. Well, think about ChatGPT for a minute. What if I could tell you that you have an empowered ChatGPT as part of the mechanism, where it's kind of your business partner, and right there on your phone, someone has a question about the comp plan, and I could do it with a voice command or type it in and it would spit out the answer, or a question on the product and I could ask, or I could type it in and it would spit it out. So all of a sudden you got this brain that becomes your business partner that does a lot of the heavy lifting. What would you do then? You just keep putting people into the system. Guys, I'm here to tell you, we are reinventing what network marketing is. We are recreating who we are in the process. In the process of doing that, we're shutting the door on any would-be competitor. Because to get in this game, you better have $500 to $700 million to begin, okay? And you better already be capable to start with, because to start from scratch is going to be more than that. You see, we're in position right now to do something no one could ever dream about a few years ago. And here we sit right at the precipice. And I'm not blowing smoke for you guys. This is in process right now. It's happening as we speak, and we're pre-positioning to take advantage of it. So as I close this segment of this, what I want to say to you is this. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you fit into that 15% that's an innovator, early adopter, or you're in the 85% that's the early majority, late majority, or the laggard. And you want to wait for everything to be just right to join us. That's fine. But if you can see this vision right now, I will tell you this. I don't think you'll see an opportunity like this again. You know why? Because you can't recreate what's happened the last 3 or 4 years. You couldn't, but it's happened. And it's laid a foundation in place for change that certain companies are going to take advantage of. And we're one of those companies with first mover advantage. Well, what do you need to do? You don't have to invest 500 to 700 million. You don't. NuSkin's done that. Come on board with us, lay a foundation in place. Anything you do between now and the time they turn it on, and then that wave comes as all those assessments flood the market and it drags product sale into it, and then it taps into 6,000 of consumer goods that we currently don't offer the public. What do you think is going to happen then? Well, I can tell you what I think is going to happen. I think in the next 12 months, you're going to see us go from 2.5 billion to 5. We go to 5 billion, 10 billion happens a year after that, and then 20 billion just a couple of years from there. What's the benefit of that? 40 to 50% of that comes back out in commissions. So when we do 10 billion, 4 to 5 billion is paid out in commissions to people like you and I on an ongoing residual basis. Let me close with this thought, because I know I've got some people on this call that I'm personally recruiting. And if you are one of those guys, you're an entrepreneur. And here's the definition of an entrepreneur. You're going to spend your time where you can get the best return on that time invested. Here's what I've said to many people, and they don't even have an answer for me. Show me somewhere else in the next 18 months you can invest your time in what you're doing without gigantic capital investment and get a return like you can on 18 months of concerted focus here. You know what? All I ever hear is crickets, because there is none. Opportunity is shrinking around the world, and we're positioned as a counterintuitive business to go into the biggest growth cycle we're ever going to see. Stephen just told you how excited he is. I don't sleep anymore. I don't sleep more than 4 hours a night because I can't. My brain's churning because I know what the outcome is here. All I've got to do is do all I can in that diminishing window, because this window, guys, this asset is real and it shrinks a little bit every day. This is the day they turn it on. Here's where we are right now. This ground floor window gets a little smaller every day. There's people all over the world watching this call right now. It's going to be recorded. It's going to bang all around the world. And people are going to hear that every day. It's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until we open. And then the story changes a little bit. And that's when the 85%ers slam into it, as you as a 15%er are positioned in front of it. Tell you what, I don't know if you've ever heard a story like that, because I've never heard a story like that. And I know everything that moves out there. We're in position to do something no one's ever done before in our industry. $15 trillion shift. It's not going to happen in my lifetime again. I'm not going to waste 1 minute in this window of opportunity. I hope you won't either. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. And we're going to get into compensation here in a little bit, and a duplication model and how you can get started in some simple steps. But I can tell you 20 years ago, I got an AOL instant message of someone showing me something innovative that this company produced. And I was very fortunate that I paid attention. I doubted it quite a bit, but I asked questions, and I was living in the Silicon Valley at the time. I saw my friends, that were not doctors, getting in front of technology launches in the late 90s, early 2000s, becoming millionaires. And I said, maybe being a doctor wasn't the right path, right? That wasn't the path of freedom, leverage. That was a good career, but it was hard work at a lot of expense. And I just wondered, what if there's an opportunity to do something different, to have that lifestyle number two that I never thought would be possible? What if there's a way that, when I'm ready to get married and have kids, I can have lifestyle and freedom instead of waiting till I'm too old to enjoy it? What if? And I think that the window that we're in right now, in fact, in the beginning, I was excited. Now I'm excited because I actually know from experience what is going to happen over the next handful of years. And some of you are going to have to make decisions based on faith. Some of you have seen windows of opportunity that have come your way. Some of you have taken advantage of them. Some of you have missed them, right? It was there, but you didn't take action to it. So what we're going to do here is show you a little bit of some compensation, because obviously, we're going to do things because we want to make some money and provide for our family and provide for our communities and do some good work. And this is how NuSkin's compensation plan works, right? In typical distribution on the left, you have a manufacturer, and the way that they get to the consumer is they pay lots of money in advertising, marketing, promotion, plus overhead to get to the retailer. The retailer gets to the consumer, and that's how money is distributed, right? They have to spend lots of money before they've even sold a product. It's a lot of risk to go out and do that. And if you look at what direct sales is or network marketing is, I didn't really know much about it at all. I thought it was silly based on what my family told me. But when I actually started to understand it, because it is one of the most misunderstood business models out there, it's actually quite simple. It's not much different than anything else. NuSkin builds the product, innovates the product. And what they do is they go direct to the consumer. The consumer buys it directly from them. And rather than paying marketing, advertising, and all this waste and overhead, which is highly inefficient, they pay people. This is what a lot of companies are doing today with influencer marketing. The problem is it's not genuine. This is the most genuine way of sharing products that you trust, that you've used, that you can make personal recommendations. Amazon's great, right? We all love Amazon, but how many of you get on Amazon and you're wondering if the next thing you're going to click, right, is going to be a scam? I mean, we bought products from Under Armour on Amazon and my kids couldn't put their heads through the holes because it was a knockoff. There's no trust there. So people want to have innovation, right? But they want to have trust in companies that they can trust and people they can trust. Amazon knows what you want before you do, because they look at buying patterns based on people like you. Well, you think of NuSkin's 35 years of history of understanding what people buy from their specific product line. Then you add AI, then you add biometric data, then you add questionnaire and demographic data. You add genetic testing, API integrations to fitness trackers, facial analyzers to look at aging of the skin. And you put that all in one platform, and you've got the best marketing system that's ever existed, and it's personalized for you. That personalized experience, right, that will drive engagement. It will drive loyalty. It will drive new customer exposures of new products, right? And all you've got to do is connect people, right? And what happens is you may start with a few customers, you may start with a few people you know, and you end up getting this network that expands all over the country and all over the world that you can't stop. My first trip to Colombia, I don't even speak Spanish. I walked into a room for my group to train them, and there were 400 people in the room. It was incredible. This type of business with the tools that we have today, we don't have archaic tools like AOL Instant Messenger. We've got 400 people on a Zoom tonight, right? And this is going to continue to grow. It's amazing what we can do. So let's talk a little bit about NuSkin's comp plan, and then we'll have Jeff talk about some getting started. So when everyone starts off, you become a brand affiliate, right? You sign up, you get an account, you become a brand affiliate. That you can do that in a matter of minutes, and you can have access to build a business in about 50 markets around the world. And this is you in the middle here. You start to sign up some retail customers, maybe some discounted member customers. You start to sign up some brand affiliates underneath you that are interested in marketing it. And you start to get paid on all of these people that you directly introduce to the products or the business. And you're going to get 5% or so on that, on the wholesale. And when you're selling retail, it's anywhere between 20 to 50%. NuSkin pays within days of you making a transaction. But if you want to start to make more money and you start to build a team. And those people start to get their customers, start to build the team. It starts to grow around the country and internationally. And you start to get paid on all of that once you get promoted to what's called brand rep. So I was new in the business. I never was in this industry before. I had done sales before. I understood the science of the products with my education. But what I looked at and I said, okay, the comp plan is telling me that I need to get to brand rep as quickly as possible because I'm going to get paid more on the same amount of sales, and I'm going to start to get paid on other people. So that's all I knew in the beginning was how do I get to that brand rep status as quickly as possible? And then eventually, how do I teach other people to do that? Because what happens is you start to teach other people to be successful in the business. NuSkin's comp plan will pay 6 generations of leadership with an infinite number of people in each one of those generations. I sold stereo equipment. I got paid on what I sold. That was it. Every month it started over from zero. And that's what happens with most people, right? We're only as good as our last service, our last transaction that we made. But when you've got consumable products on subscription, 80% of my business with NuSkin is on subscription. 80%. That's very predictable cash flow. And then you add leverage to it. I train people how to sell and how to build a business, but those companies before NuSkin never paid me to do that. They made the money on what they sold, not me. And I looked at this and I said, I can introduce this business to people, train them, and I can actually get paid to do that as well. I have a vested interest in doing that. I never experienced that before. And once I understood this, I realized that it's not starting over from zero every month. You're starting with a base, and then you've got geometric growth, and it just starts to take off. And when you start to look at the average income of NuSkin distributors, right? If you become the first level of leadership, that first brand rep, that's about $7,000 a year. This is part-time, right? And some people may not think that's a lot of money, but if you ask your boss for a raise of $7,000, they're probably going to laugh at you, especially in this economy, right? Well, you start to help other people. You help one person become a gold. You help 2 people, you become what's called a lapis. That's $26,000 a year. That's what I was looking at. Just a way to make some money on the side to pay for my bills so I could go be a doctor. But my eyes looked all the way to the right here, and I looked at this blue diamond thing, and the average income, $437 or $37,688. It's down to the dollar because NuSkin's a public company. These aren't projections. These aren't estimates. These are highly regulated numbers by the SEC because we're a public company, and that's why they're down to the dollar. And I looked at that and I said, wow, 500 people had achieved that when I joined the business. And I didn't really care if people had achieved it. What I cared about was, could I achieve it today? Was it just the people that got in early, or people that joined today? And the people that I could introduce, could they do it as well? And what I saw was the rate at which people were achieving that top level was accelerating. I said, okay, people are doing it today. Then I looked at it as, I think I can do that as a doctor. What's the lifestyle look like? And I looked at people like Jeff Mack, who had these incredible lifestyles. They worked hard, but they had a different way of making money. It's a different financial vehicle. And I said, I want that too. I want to be able to make the money and enjoy time and have fulfillment and wake up every day with enthusiasm, with not working because I want to, not because someone's telling me I have to. Realize that not everyone's going to get it right away, right? It's the early adopters, the innovators. We're in this beginning stage with this upswing. And you've got a huge multi-billion-dollar company that's on the New York Stock Exchange. This is not a startup blowing air. This company knows what they're doing. Jeff and I have experienced this company for decades now, and we're in a ride for our lives right now. So we hope that you join us. Look for people that want to move fast. This business is fun to move fast, especially in this window. And again, get back to the person that invited you to this webinar. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great evening.